Hi, it's Dave again from Carol and Dave's Roadhouse. Today I've got a little helper here. I don't know how much help she's going to do, but she's going to be in here with me. This is Hannah. Say hi, Hannah. Say hi. Yeah, she's not being very cooperative today, so we'll just let her sit there and be a pretty face in the picture. What I'm making today is I'm going to make a cranberry apple bread pudding. It's something nice for the holiday seasons. What I have here, so I have a gallon of toasted croutons. And the toasted, what you want to do with, the reason you want to toast the croutons, it's very important, is because what you're doing is you're taking out the moisture out of the bread. It's not just to give it a brown color, you know, the toasted flavor. It's to get the moisture out of the bread. And when you take the moisture out of the bread, it makes room for the moisture from the custard that I'm going to show you how to make to be pulled back into it, which is a nice thing. All right, let's start off here. What I did was I already cracked a dozen eggs, so I didn't have to worry about the shells and picking them up while, you know. So I got it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a dozen eggs in my bowl here, and then I'm going to whip them up a little bit. How am I doing so far, Hannah? Am I doing good? Good, I whipped up a little bit. Now I also have some brown sugar. This is light brown sugar, but you can use dark brown sugar. No, this is dark brown sugar. You want to use about 2 cups of packed brown sugar. Then you want to whisk that in, and it'll whisk in pretty easy because it'll start melting in the eggs. Get that whisked in. Now what we want to do is we want to put a little bit of vanilla in it. About 2 tablespoons of vanilla. That'll help give it a little bit of vanilla flavor. And next I have some heavy cream. And this is a quart of it, so I'm going to use 2 cups, which, do your math, half a quart. I'm going to pour half a quart of heavy cream in there. There we go. So I'll whip that in a little bit. Okay, now just a little pinch of salt, just to help out. Okay, now what I have here, okay, I made up a little bit ago, I made up this, so I didn't have to take as much time. This is a homemade cranberry sauce. What it is it's 2 cups of orange juice, 2 cups of granulated sugar, and then I use 2 bags of fresh cranberries that I got at the store. And what you do is you bring the orange juice and the sugar to a simmer, and you mix in you pour in the cranberries, and you stir it in, and then you leave it cook for about 10 or 15 minutes till all the cranberries pop and simmer. But be careful, you don't want to have the stove on too high or it'll boil over. And if it boils over, here, you want to climb up here? If it boils over, then you're pretty well going to have a little bit of a mess to clean up, and it'll be a sugary, sweet mess. So you want to make sure you keep it low enough that it's going to simmer but not boil over. Okay, now what I want to do is, watch this. I want to put about half of the cranberry that I have into there, which is about a quart. And then I'm going to mix that in, and you want to make sure you have those whole cranberries in there, because you'll see whenever it's done what you'll have the whole cranberries there. Okay, so I have all that. Now you have almost all the ingredients in there. So now what I want to do, whisk out of here. Now what I want to do is take my toasted croutons and just pour them right in there. And we're going to toss them in here. And in with the croutons, what I did was I had some caramel apple bread that I had left over from Sunday's breakfast. And what it is, where I got it from, I got it down at Rosary Acres where Rick Adams runs it. And right now he's baking a bunch of different breads, and some of them he's selling down at the Ligonier Giant Eagle. So you might want to try them out. They're really good, and you don't have to just use plain bread in here. You can use leftover donuts, you can use Danish, whatever flavors you like. It adds to everything. It adds to the flavor. But I'm mixing this in for right now. Now I'm going to just leave it sit for a second. I'm going to set it up here. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to do the apples that I do in the bread pudding, because this is a cranberry apple bread pudding. I've got 2 gala apples, which I'll show you what I do with them. But before I do the apples, I'm going to put about 2 ounces of water and about a little over a cup of sugar in here. What I'm doing is I'm going to make a simple syrup and take it a little bit further than a simple syrup. I'm going to make it more, start to caramelize the sugar. And then I'll throw in the apples and get the apples starting to cook. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel the apples and cut them into bite-sized pieces. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut up the apples. Just cut right around the core like this. Okay, the sugar's cooking down and it's starting to turn basically to candy. So what you want to do next is, I'm not going to let it get brown, because if you do that, it might get real hard whenever you put it in there. So just get it like that. And then what you want to do is you want to pour the apples in. Okay, and this spatula here is heat resistant, so you don't want to use just a regular spatula, otherwise it'll melt and you'll have plastic in it. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to start cooking the apples, and the moisture is going to come out of the apples, and not the sugar. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook them for a minute or 2, and that'll get them started cooking, so whenever you make the bread pudding, it's not the apples aren't hard, they're nice and tender. But you want to be careful in this step too, because you want to be careful in this step too, because the sugar in the water actually gets up to 400 or 500 degrees, so you don't want to be splashing on yourself, or you have a nice little burn. Okay, now what I want to do is get my the makings for the bread pudding back, which you can see how nice it is. You got the whole cranberries in there. You have the custard. Okay, now what I want to do is it's getting the moisture out, so it's thinning out the sugar water, and this is going to give it make it a little sweeter, a different sweet than the brown sugar has. Okay, now I'm going to pour it in there. Turn the burner off, and I'm going to toss this around. The sugar's starting to, you can see it getting a little stringy, which is like, it's because it's cooling off in there, which is really neat. But when you bake it, that'll all loosen up. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to take a knife. This is a 13 by 9 pan. I'm going to take it. I'm going to get some spray. Really, you want to get some spray. You want to make sure you cut it real well. That way it comes out of the pan real easy. There's a reason I have the paper here. Okay, now you want to pour it. It's basically custard and the breads, the apples and the cranberries and all the goodies. Pour them in there good like that. Okay, now the reason I have the paper is because what you want to do is you want to put the paper on and press down. You don't want to press too hard and have it all kind of squirting out. You want to press down on it. So what you want to do, by the way, this is Liz's daughter, Hannah. She's the one filming this. So what you want to do is you want to cover it for about an hour, then put it in the oven at 375 for about another hour. But you want to just feel it when it's done and make sure it's firm, because if you take it out too soon, it'll be a little custardy. Of course, if you bake it too long, it'll be all dried out. So you want it to be a little bit firm, and it'll be real good. Okay? All right, that's good. What I'm doing next is I'm doing a cream cheese glaze for on top of it. And the ingredients that go in the cream cheese glaze, I have 8 ounces of cream cheese, which is basically 1 block that you get at the store, a cup of powdered sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla, a cup of heavy cream, and then about a cup of your cranberry mixture. But you mix all these ingredients in a mixer, use a paddle, whip it up until it's nice and smooth, and then put it in the fridge and let it cool off. After you take the bread pudding out, you cut it into servable pieces, and if you have leftover, all you have to do is microwave. Okay, now this is the finished product. I have the cream cheese glaze, which is a nice, since you put the heavy cream in it, it makes it a nice creamy texture instead of a hard texture or a runny texture. And this is the bread pudding. You can see the chunks of apple, the chunks of cranberry in it, and the flavor is just like outstanding. So you take your bread pudding and put however much of this cranberry cream cheese glaze on top, and there you go. That's a finished product. Alright, let me try this, see how it is. Yeah, just as good as everybody told me it was going to be. Alright, so I'll see you next time and see what else I can come up with to show you. Thank you very much.
Today we're going to be making a kamikaze. Get my pitcher of ice. Now back in the 80s, the pitchers of kamikazes were real popular, and they were actually a shaker, not a pitcher. Now, not too many people with the drunk driving laws want to do the pitcher, so we make it as just one single drink. It's a cocktail. So we start out with vodka. You can use any vodka. I'm just using a well vodka tonight. Triple sec, which is orange liqueur. Do about a half a shot of that. Some lime juice. We always use our Rose's lime juice. It's usually the best. About a shot and a half of that. And we have our sours mix. So some people don't do kamikazes with sours mix, but I think it makes it. That's what makes Carol's kamikaze special. And that's about 2 shots of the sours mix. We're going to shake vigorously. This is a great summer drink. It's almost like a lemonade. Do that, and we're going to garnish it. Garnish with a lime. Great summer drink, kamikaze. You can do it on the rocks. You can do it as a frozen drink. Something that would taste really good if you're lounging by the pool. If you have any questions, come in and see us, or come try kamikaze at Carol and Dave's Roadhouse.